Okay, so I had a really, really great question come up on stream the other day, and it was about getting your artwork to look more dynamic. And this is something that I've kind of prided myself on pushing into as sort of a fantasy action style artist over the years, is wanting dynamic art, mainly because I'm a Joe Mad fanboy, and everything he does looks like it's straight out of an anime. Yeah, I know, anime. Kiss my ass. um, but this question was really, really good because I thought there's a lot of things that get talked about how to push your poses and make things look way more dynamic in art. And the one thing that's really, really helped me over the past year is I don't even know what to call it, but I call it free drawing. Basically, you're just drawing off the top of your head. You're not using reference. You're just looking for those dynamic lines and those shapes. So everybody knows when you do poses, you typically start with a line of action, right? Like you kind of want your line of action going in a certain direction that you want the pose going. So that'll be kind of your balance point, you know. Like even these are a little bit feeling a little bit stiff, but you kind of get the idea. Like we always typically have that one line when we start out that shows us what direction we want to go in. As far as free drawing goes, the thing that really helped me out was learning not to be studying so much and start drawing what you have fun with. If you have fun, that's going to open up your art. That's just going to open up everything with your creativity so much more. I think the reason people stiffen up and the reason their art doesn't connect as well is they stop having fun with it. So this is what I've been doing as kind of a wind down. Is I've just kind of been drawing shapes in 3D forms even, but not trying to make it perfect, not trying to get it to follow perspective. You know, if you have fun looking at fingers that are like single digits in cartoons, don't worry about trying to make all the digits in a hand or a finger because that might stiffen things up. Obviously, these aren't going to be the best drawings, but you kind of get what I'm saying here. I hope. As far as trying to get it too perfect just makes it look a lot tighter. If that's what you want, then go for it. By the way, but as far as the free drawing stuff goes, what I'm recommending is just keep things loose. Try to have just one big bulk shape as much as you possibly can. So this is what I would do a lot at night. That's kind of helped me is just like I said, just drawing shapes and putting motion into it, putting curves into it. If you want to draw a hand, you know, like say I draw an S shape, how do I make this into a hand? I know it's not a hand logically, like nobody's arm is going to bend like that. But if I do mess around with it a little bit and I try to make it into a hand, then maybe I'm adding a lot more momentum, right? And I'm not thinking about it. I'm just thinking about the perspective. I'm thinking about the curves. I'm thinking about the motion in it. Like a lot of that is just doing these lines even. You just try to do these and try to make a 3D shape out of it. Um, Try to draw faces that maybe aren't the same face shape. You know, give them a lot of energy and stop trying to worry about the whole oval and then I need to divide it into lines. You can still do that here, but your focus is on dynamics, not making a good drawing, because this will translate into a good drawing later on. You're still going to do your studies, you're still going to do your references, you're still going to do all that stuff. And that was another point that was brought up by this viewer was um, not knowing what to draw without a reference, without looking at something. And I think part of that is we're not exercising our brain enough. Reference is great, but you just have to step away from it sometimes. You just have to get away from it, and you have to just do this for an hour or two a night as a wind down, your brain will train itself to just open up a different muscle, which is your imagination. The more you do this, the more you step away from things like rigid reference, which, like I said, is an amazing tool to have, and you should be using it. But use these things that are way more freeform and way more nonsensical if you want to step outside that box. So this is kind of where I started with free drawing. Was I just started doing stuff like this, and I would just fill up pages and pages and pages of that. The next step I would recommend, and this is kind of what's fun for me now, and I think those of you who follow me on Instagram and Twitter see me posting a lot of this stuff, is just making some scribbles on a page. And like I said, keep that dynamic shapes going. Don't, try. See, now it's even hard for me to draw straight up and down. I've been doing this for a while. Like these lines aren't really going to add a lot to your dynamics. Like these lines will, you know. So fill up a page with stuff like this, and then turn it around. Look and see what shapes you can see. It doesn't have to make sense. We're not trying to make sense. We're not trying to overthink things here. What we're trying to do is just let our imaginations go. Learn to trust your imagination. Learn to let go of judgment, basically. Like, don't worry what somebody else might think of this drawing. So put your scribble on a layer below it. Make a new layer on top of it. If you're doing this, you can do this on paper. I've done this on paper. I used to do this on paper for years. So there's no real excuses if you don't have digital. But just see what you see and just try to make a dynamic shape out of it. And honestly, when you're done, when you run out of ideas, you're just done. Go make another one. The whole idea of this is to not force it, right? Like, we're not getting too rigid. Our lines, most of our lines, you can see they just flow. We're not like sketching here. We're just kind of letting shit go. And like letting it just kind of follow the path that it needs to follow, right? And like I said, if you want to keep going into these and developing them, then just go for it. The point of this really is to have fun, and the more fun you have, the less rigid your art is going to be. So I know these aren't like great drawings. You can see like there's not really anything there. I could refine this. I could turn it into something. And I might do that because I kind of see a lot of stuff going on in my head. But it's taken a long time to get that imagination to work to where you can see these things. The more fun you have with art, the more free you're going to be. As an example, I'm going to show you a page from the comic that I'm working on now called Zadura Chronicles versus one called Battle for Ozelberg. This might not be a fair comparison because these are two different parts of the stories. But you can see one is clearly way more polished as far as my skill set was. It was years down the road. I'm using perspective. I have storytelling that I think is a lot more clear. Panel by panel, I did try to break some panels to add some dynamics. I don't think this is a bad page at all. And it's definitely not, it's what the writer has in mind. It's a slower page, so it should be slower. But you can see on this one, there's less fundamentals. But there's a lot more scattered action going on because I didn't even have a script for this page. I was just told to have a fight scene and just go with it. And in my head, I went back to all the anime that I watched and all the mangas that I liked and the comics that I liked. And I tried to just do what I liked in that. Instead of following a script, I tried to make it more like an action scene. And this actually ended up being one of my favorite pages. I'll probably never ever sell this page, even though I have the original, just because I loved it so much. There's nothing wrong with the Zadura Chronicles page. In fact, the whole series I've loved working on. But you can see that sometimes you have to let go of reference and fundamentals, and sometimes you have to just let go and have fun. Because not everybody may love this page, but like I do, and it was one of the funnest pages I've made. And that type of stuff will break you out of your box of worrying what so many other people are going to think. And that is one trick that I've learned besides studying all the artists that might be high action, really loose with their art, drawing over their stuff. This is one trick that I've learned that it helps you let go, and the more you let go, the less you're going to care about what other people think of your art, the more fun you're going to have, and ultimately you're going to draw what you like drawing. And that's going to allow you to be more dynamic, because if you want to be more dynamic, it's in your heart, and you're just not listening to it because you're too focused on reference, and you're too focused on maybe what professionals might think of it, and you're not practicing just being dynamic enough, right? So I hope this is something that helps you. I know there's a lot of stuff out there that will tell you a million ways to draw dynamic art, and none of that stuff is bad. All that stuff, listen to all that stuff. But at some point, try just having fun with it, letting go and forgetting about the rules. Draw the things that you like drawing, even if it's just a finger or a hand. There's so many times lately, especially when I want to draw like a thumbnail for some reason, or a fingernail, because I like the way that those look in a lot of art, I've realized. And I'll just draw this in several different poses, and it doesn't have to make sense. I don't have to fill in the rest of the body. I don't have to use like a reference. I don't have to paint it. I'm just doing that because right now stuff like that is fun to do. Even drawing teeth like this is fun to do, and I know I do it a lot, but just do it. Just do it and exhaust it till you're exhausted on the idea, and stop worrying so much. And that's my best advice on this: to get out of your head, to get more practice in, and just do this for hours, and you'll kind of lose yourself in it. And I hope that helps. And I'm going to be posting a lot more of my free drawings up, so if you guys see them, you kind of see what I'm doing, that I'm actually doing it, what I'm telling you. And you'll see results, and you will if you do this over and over again. You'll start to loosen up. So I hope that helps you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Do the like, do the subscription, thumbs up, whatever. I don't care. I don't care. But I do love all your following on social media. It means the world to me. That's my big goal, is get to conventions, get my art out there, and meet you guys. So I hope this is part of that path and helps you guys too. All right, see you guys later.